started here. Alrighty. Christ my Lord, the giver of light and wisdom, who opened the eyes of the blind man and transformed the fishermen into wise heralds and teachers of the gospel through the coming of the Holy Spirit, shine also in my mind the light of the grace of the Holy Spirit. Grant me discernment, understanding, and wisdom in learning. Enable me to complete my assignments and to abound in every good work. For to you I give honor and glory. Amen. Most blessed Lord, send the grace of your Holy Spirit on me to strengthen me, that I may learn well the subject I am about to study, and by it become a better person, for your glory, the comfort of my family, and the benefit of your church and our nation. Amen. All right. I would like to very briefly look at another outline that I put in your books on page 33. Well, you finished the Odyssey. Congratulations. You have read the two major works of Homer. We are going to read other longish things, but we're not going to read anything else this year like that. Yeah, we're going to read some plays that are very poetic, but they're a lot shorter. So, but next we're going to be reading a history book. It's the very first history book ever written in the world that we know of, which is awesome. But what I'd like to do is kind of get you up to speed on what's going on with Athens. Some of the stuff in this outline you're going to meet in this history book, but just kind of remind you. So everything we've said about Athens so far, except for the particular poets we've looked at, is kind of conjectural. We're not totally sure when this happened or how it happened. Somebody invaded, but we don't know, and when. But now we're getting into the things that we actually know, except for our friend Draco. He's at the top of our outline here. Draco is one of these in the mists of time. We're, I don't know, 98.7% sure this is one real historical person. But when he lived, when he was born, not quite sure. Sometime before 500 BC. But he was the first one in Athens who said, we need laws written down. Eventually, every group of people just says, we need laws written down so people know what they can do. Draco was the first one to do this, but there's a little problem with him. Everything got the death penalty. Everything got the death penalty. So stealing food, death penalty. Murder, death penalty. And the story is that eventually someone said to Draco, can you explain to us why stealing food and murder deserve the same penalty? And he said, well, here's the thing. Stealing deserves death. Murder deserves something worse than death, but I can't think of anything worse to do to you. Well, this becomes depressing. First of all, this is not good for a country. And eventually, they realized that they could not keep up a society working this way. Also, eventually, the rich people got in control. And you know, if everything's punishable by the death penalty, and you're one of the people in charge, and you don't like some of the people who aren't in charge, you can pretty much get rid of them very easily. So this was not going well. These upper class people who were in charge owned all the land, they controlled all the laws, and you guys know enough history, or you can use your imaginations, you've read enough, I'm sure, to realize what happens next. The people who aren't in charge get sick and tired of it, and they band together and they decide to do something about it. But before that happened, Solon. There was a guy named Solon. He was a bit of a poet. We have a poem by Solon down below the page. He was considered very wise, and they said, Solon, will you please fix things before everything explodes, before the lower classes rebel, before Athens is destroyed? And he said, yes, I will. They gave him full power to reform the government. He canceled all the debts. People had fallen into debt, and once upon a time it was a thing. to sell yourself or your family into slavery to pay your debt. Later in Britain, it was a thing to go to prison if you were in debt. I've never understood debtor's prison. How do you pay your debt if you're in prison? It makes a little more sense to become a slave. At least you're paying back. Solon canceled all debts and he freed everybody who had been sold a slave. Who was happy about that? People who were slaves or who owed money. Who's not so happy about that?
People who were owed money.
Yeah, the people who are owed money. But they said that he could do whatever he wanted, so they let him do it. He gave everyone a say in the government. He divided everybody up into 4 groups. But even that lowest class group gets to come to the assembly and they get a vote. They might not get to propose laws, but they get to vote on it at least. And so for the first time in history that we know of, we have a group of people in a society where every citizen, not women, not slaves, but every male citizen got to go and cast a vote. It was a democracy. It was a full, pure, they would say, democracy. Everybody votes on everything. I'm going to skip over the rest of this outline. I've just decided on a whim. Because Pisistratus, who's going to take charge, and Cleisthenes, we're going to meet in our history book, so we will revisit them. We're also going to meet Solon in our history book, but I just kind of wanted to set the stage. This is the government that we think of when we think Golden Age of Athens. We're up to historical times. And I just want to read briefly this reflection written by Solon. See if you can tell how he thinks Athens would ever fall if it does fall. That's what you're looking for as I read this. Our city never will perish according to the decree of Zeus or the will of the blessed gods immortal. For such a great spirited guard holds her hands protectingly above it, Pallas Athena, she of the mighty father. Rather, the townsmen themselves, in their folly, wish to destroy our great city, persuaded by wealth, and unjust is the mind of the leaders of the demos, that's the people. For them many grievous sufferings are certain, the fruit of their great hubris, pride. For they do not know how to suppress choros, disdain, looking down on other people, or how to conduct the present joys of their feasting in decorous fashion, but instead they grow rich, putting their trust in unjust deeds. What will bring Athens down if it ever goes down?
Itself,
The people. And because they're so wrapped up in what?
and their folly.
In their folly, and what is their folly? Pursuing wealth. Pursuing wealth. You know what? This suddenly, I didn't think of this on Tuesday, but now that I read it again, because I'm reading through the minor prophets, this sounds like the minor prophets in the Old Testament. You people who oppress the poor and break down the backs of the widows and orphans, a judgment will come. This is what Solon said. Okay. That is enough of Solon for today. Let us take a look. You know what? Decide how I want to do this. You know, I want to talk about what I want you to write first. Because on Tuesday I ran short of time and I feel like I just burned through it very fast. But before that, I have the vast selection of Odyssey art. I will give this one, and they can go back and forth. We have Exhibit A. Oh, can anybody tell me? This is obviously not an ancient piece of art. This is not even medieval art. This is more modern. Somebody's crying with his clothes over his face, and somebody's got a harp sitting there. Any guesses?
Someone's dying.
It's something from the Odyssey.
Looks like the suitors in Odysseus' house. Maybe.
somebody's singing with the harp, and somebody's covering his face and
Oh,
crying.
that's the time where the dude cried. Odyssey cried.
Odysseus cried, and where was he?
At the house of someone.
Yes. Somebody want to help Henley?
When they were singing, when this guy was singing about Odysseus.
Yes, at the Phaeacians, right? The Phaeacian bard, Demodocus, the blind guy, was singing. We have something going on. Any guesses? Any hypotheses? Olivia's. What the heck? Ignore the fact that they don't seem to be wearing any clothes. This is incidental to the action. It's not important. What are they doing? Here, I'm giving it to Liam. Take a close look. The other three are all the same thing. Oh, how can I hold them all up at the same time? 3 pictures of the same moment. I don't know. Ignore the fish. The fish is unknown. You guys got it?
Oh, is that like?
You 3? Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is.
Mhm.
Oh, Highway's right.
Okay, what do you think here?
Is that the one that sings?
The one that sings. What are they called?
Sirens?
Sirens.
Is that the
Then they.
Cyclops?
It is the Cyclops. I should have blown that up before it went around. I'm not going to pass these around. You can look at them later if you want to. It fascinates me that, first of all, these are Greek pots. These are ancient pots. These aren't reproductions. And just like my Achilles and Ajax with the dice game or whatever, they had stock scenes that they like to put on pots. And apparently this was a popular one. But then we have, early modern art, same thing. I mean, almost the same. They're always bird women. I know you guys probably don't care about this, but I do. Harpies. They get confused with the harpies. The harpies are the bird women that come and poo on your food. There's a place where they have an island, and this guy was there, and they would set out a feast, and he would start to eat. But they would fly down, and they would peck at the food and poo on it and mess it up with their feet and then fly away, the harpies. And so we see these sirens, although the sirens are not described in the Odyssey as having wings. But I think there's a little confusion about, are the harpies sirens? Are the sirens harpies? They always end up being birds. I particularly enjoy this one that's upside down, for whatever reason. Okay. Yes. Unknown why there is a fish. Cyclops doesn't eat fish. Why is there not a goat down there, or sheep, or something? No. Obviously, this is an ancient plate, too, so we cannot ask the artist. Okay. You guys just gave me a paper with a topic that I don't remember, comparing Odysseus to Jesus.
Yes.
And I had you lay it out with an introduction and a conclusion. And 3 paragraphs in each one, finding a point of comparison or contrast, and then not defending it exactly. You are trying to persuade me a little bit, but illustrating it. If you say that Odysseus is like Jesus because they both suffered, well, then you need to tell me, well, when did Odysseus suffer? And when did Jesus suffer? It wouldn't be a hard question to answer, but you need to demonstrate it. We're going to do another paper almost exactly the same way. I mean, we're just going to substitute another topic, but it's the same process. You guys have done enough of these for me that I just don't feel like I need to belabor it. But our topic is going to be, instead of compare and contrast Odysseus and Jesus, compare and or contrast. Remember when I say this, it means if all you can find are things that are different, that's okay. If all you can find are things that are exactly the same, which would be very difficult with any two different things, that's okay. But if you can find a way they're the same, but there's a way they're different in that same thing, that's awesome. Remember how we said that Odysseus and Jesus both suffered, but Jesus suffered for other people innocently. Odysseus did suffer for other people's decisions, but he just suffered for his own too. But he certainly didn't suffer for the sins of mankind. Compare and contrast the anger of Achilles, and by the anger of Achilles, I mean at any given point in the Iliad. The man was angry all the time, till the very, very end, when Priam came and they cried together. I mean, it can be while he's angry at Agamemnon. It can be while he's raging and killing people in the battlefield. I don't care. He's angry all the time. With the anger of Odysseus. And in particular, I'm thinking of the end of the Odyssey when he shoots everybody in the hall. Almost everybody. I think we could argue that he's quite angry. So, what do we need to do to start out? We're going to need to think of ways these are the same, and we can't say they're both angry. That's a given. Can anybody think of either a way they're different or a way they're the same? Just off the top of your head. What do you got, Luke?
They both had something in a way stolen from them. Odysseus had his castle and in a way his wife, and then Achilles had his wife.
That's very good. See, that would make an excellent paragraph. Both men were angry because something important to them was stolen from them. And you might say, now how do I turn that into a paragraph? Simply tell me the episodes. It's not difficult. Tell me, lay out the whole stealing of Briseis from Achilles and how he reacted, and maybe why he reacted that way. He says, I loved her. Lay out what Odysseus has had taken from him. You know, he's also had time stolen from him. Odysseus, can you imagine the welling up of, I mean, these guys are trying to steal my wife. I cannot think of a point in the Odyssey where Odysseus becomes aware that the suitors want to kill Telemachus. Can you guys remember? There are people that know. Eumaeus knows. I mean, there's rumors. I think Penelope overhears something, but I don't think we ever hear Odysseus hearing that, knowing that. But he certainly knows that his son's authority's been abused. But yeah, all of that time, the time of seeing his son grow up, this also was stolen. Not by his own wish. He kind of had to go to war. We didn't really talk about this, but there's a place in the Iliad where it says, it talks about somebody who was left at home, and it said he went ahead and he paid the tax or whatever for those that didn't go. Everybody had to contribute to the war. And so if you were rich enough, apparently you could just give ships and money. And this guy had done that. Everybody had to go. So that's very good. And could we think, there's not a I'm trying to think if there's any difference we could highlight there. Both, because it's both human beings, but in the case of Odysseus, we could highlight time. What else was taken from Achilles that might have made him angry in addition to a woman? His honor. His honor. Odysseus lost time, Achilles lost on. So that would make a lovely paragraph. Very good. Let's see if we can brainstorm one more, and then I'm just gonna. What do you think? What do you see?
Wait, one more bullet.
One more comparison or contrast.
Nature places taken from Achilles.
Oh, well, that could go in that same paragraph, couldn't it? That's something else he lost. We could really, really go on about stuff they've lost. How about, remember our common topics in the back of the book? One of them is relation. What's the consequences of their anger?
People die.
People die. Is that a similarity or a difference? Similarity. There's lots of death involved. Is there a difference at all in the deaths that are dished out as a result?
Lets people die, and Odysseus kills people.
Okay, Achilles lets people die. But does Achilles only let people die?
He kills people.
He also kills people. Odysseus definitely actively kills people. What do you think, Luke?
Achilles' like killings were like mostly in the war, and Odysseus's were mostly out of war in his own house.
Do we tend to think that battlefield killing is different than just wiping people out? And we kind of do, don't we? Would Odysseus be able to get away with that today in America? No. You can't just, you people, there are stand your ground laws. I'm presuming if you've been hanging out with a group of people and talking to them and you've given them a chance to leave, we would expect you to call the police before you just started shooting them. Yeah, so one's in a war situation, one is in a time of peace. Do the people, let's follow on that, the people that Achilles kills in the battlefield, the families of the people he kills, do they have any real reason to be angry with him, to blame him because he kills people in a war? No. But at the end of the Odyssey, do the families of the suitors blame Odysseus?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They come for him. They rally at the end. And they go out to Laertes' farm, and they're going to have a battle. This man just killed our sons. I don't think so. So there were potential repercussions, not for Achilles, but for Odysseus. All right. Do you guys get the idea? I have no doubt that if you sit and think about it, maybe not even very long, you can come up with another similarity or difference. But remember, in the back of your reading guide, on page 111, there's these just questions to ask. What is this thing? Well, it's anger we're discussing, so that's not very helpful. Compare it to something, testimony. What do others say about it? What do other people say about Achilles when he's so angry he won't fight? What do other people say about Odysseus when he comes back and claims his own? You know what, this is interesting? Agamemnon talks about both of them. How does Agamemnon feel about Achilles? Oh, what a jerk. What does Agamemnon say about Odysseus at the end? Good for you, Odysseus. You have a great wife. You came back and claimed your own. Your wife didn't kill you with an axe when you came home like mine did. Awesome. So that could be something you could explore too, what other people said about it. Okay, if you are working on this and you have trouble, because I've given you 2 of the 3, just email me and say, I can't think of another one, and we'll think of another one together. But I'd love to give you guys a chance, because I want to see what you come up with. So what I want you to do is make an outline. I'm going to ask you to just do all of this week, because I think you can. And just know that your next assignment is going to be another one of those solas. It's going to be 1 paragraph. So just dig in, give me all you got this week. I want you to put parallelism 1 and parallelism 2. Have we done P1 and P2? Both?
This week.
Okay. And we're adding a new one. Some of you have done this one. For some of you, this is going to be new. But before I say anything, are there any questions at this point about the parallelism? I mean, I just feel like you ought to be professional parallelists. We've been doing it so long. I believe we started a list in the back of your book. I see Olivia is there. Anaphora. This is the new thing we're going to add. We can just call it A, because it's our first A thing. It's repetition of the same word or words. I'm going to put at the beginning of a series of phrases. This is a long definition, sorry. I'm making it up as I go. Clauses or sentences. I'm going to read you a bunch of examples. And if you want to jot down an example, that's fine. It's very powerful. And once you get attuned to some of these rhetorical devices, you start seeing them in a lot of things that you read. I don't know if parallelisms pop out at you now, and you notice how often writers use 3 of something. Can you read that? Here's a few examples. The first 3 in this book are from the Bible. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. He. This is from Zephaniah. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. A day, over and over. This one we all know. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. It repeats blessed are over and over. There's a lot of them. How about just one more? Winston Churchill, because it's got a bunch of them. We shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. You don't have to do that many of them. 3 is sufficient, unless you just get really into it and you do a whole paragraph. Do you notice how it really drives home the point? Like a drum beat, almost. That repetition. Figures of repetition are just very powerful. So it's a good place to use, it's a good figure to use in a place in a paper where you just really want to emphasize Odysseus killed unrelentingly. Odysseus killed furiously. Odysseus killed, I don't know, justifiably.
Could we
And-
potentially combine anaphora and
That, with the parallelism, it is, yes. If it's 3 sentences, then that wouldn't really be. But what I just did, if they were all semicolons in between, yeah, you could potentially combine those. Sure. Be creative. And then in our introduction and conclusion is the standard stuff. This is in the outline and the information in the back of the book. All the introduction needs is what are these books we're talking about? Please don't tell me the whole plots of them. You can assume in this case I know. But it would be nice to know that Homer wrote 2 epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, and that in each of these there's a character with a lot of anger. And then in the conclusion, maybe you can tell me, recap, and then tell me if you think one of your similarities or differences really stands out, really seems most vivid to you or most important, and why. Any questions? Are we good? Okay. Again, reach out to me if you don't know what to do. If you run short of ideas, let us know. Go through our questions, and then I'd kind of like to look at the poem as a whole as well. I wrote down some interesting things that I discovered in my reading. That is not where I wanted to be. Okay, when we started our reading, it's the end of the day. Odysseus is in his own house, and his wife wants to talk to him. Why does Penelope question people that come to visit? What does she want to know? Have you heard any news about Odysseus or seen Odysseus? What do you know? What's the danger? She mentions this. Is Penelope pretty cautious, even when they tell her this is Odysseus and he's killed everybody? Yeah. So what's the danger? What might someone do over these last 10 years anyway? For 10 years she knew the war was still going on, but for the 10 years he should be coming home any minute. What might someone do? Pretend to be Odysseus. Or,
Kill him on his way home.
well, maybe, but what might they do in reporting to Penelope?
Tell her he's dead.
Well, yeah, but when he's not?
Yeah.
And what would they get out of that? If you went to Penelope and said, yeah, I went to his funeral, he's dead, give it up. What would be in it for them to tell that lie?
She'd have to marry one of them.
Okay, so somebody hired by the suitors?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. You're very devious, Liam. I like it. How about the other way? How about if they don't say he's dead? How about if they give false information that's good? What could they get out of it? What do you think, Miriam? Oh, was that that was just a playing with the pen. You should.
If they told her they found him alive.
Mm-hmm. What might happen?
Or a reward or something.
Yeah, some awesome reward. See, I was thinking small. You were thinking big. I was thinking maybe like a gold vase or something. Some money. There might be money in it. She is apparently in the habit of dishing out, new sets of clothing or whatever to passersby. And they're more apt to get something good out of her if they give her good news. So she's cautious. She's cautious. She's got to be careful. All right. First question I asked you. Actually, can we look at the second question first? I'm not sure why I wrote them in this order. So this beggar, who's actually Odysseus, comes up and talks to Penelope. And where does he claim to be from? And what does he say Odysseus was doing there? This is the second question. Where does the beggar claim to be from? Crete. Because I'm a prince of Crete. Of course, this is not true. But he's been hanging around with princes of Crete in the Trojan War, so he knows them. And what does he say Odysseus? When did he see Odysseus? What does he say Odysseus was doing there? Anybody? Could you not find, I'm not chastising you. Could you not find it? Or are you just afraid to say because you're not sure it's right? Or did you?
He was traveling to Troy.
He was traveling to Troy. Thank you. See? Well done. See? He was on his way to Troy. So how long ago was that? That was 20 years ago. That's pretty old news. But I find something about his story that's really interesting. What kind of stories does Odysseus tell people when they say, "And who are you?" Made up ones. And are they vague and sketchy?
Very detailed.
Oh, they're very detailed. You see, I was going here, and I had a load of this stuff, and I went here, and then they kidnapped me, and I went over there, and then I got sick, and then I got lost. And they're very detailed. Listen to what he tells Penelope. He starts off with, "I'm from Crete, and then I, had this problem and that problem." She asks him, what was he wearing? Fortunately, Odysseus knows exactly what he was wearing. But listen to him as he starts to tell his story. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. This is not his story. He's telling Odysseus' story. "I will tell the whole truth and hide nothing. I have heard Odysseus now at last is on his way. He's just in reach, in rich Thesprotian country. The man is still alive, and he's bringing home a royal hoard of treasure, gifts he won from the people of those parts. His crew? He's lost his crew in hollow ship on the wine-dark waters off Thrinacia Island. Zeus and Helios raged, dead set against Odysseus, for his men-at-arms had killed the cattle of the sun. So down at the last they drown in the crashing seas." Is this true? He's telling her the truth. But not Odysseus. Clinging tight to his ship's keel, the breakers flung him out onto dry land on Scheria, the land of the Phaeacians, close kin to the gods. And with all their hearts they prized him like a god, showered the man with gifts, and they'd have gladly sailed him home unscathed. In fact, Odysseus would have been here beside you long ago. But he thought it the better, shrewder course to recoup his fortunes, roving through the world. He just told her a very big portion of the truth. And it is not in his habit to run around telling people the truth. He reserves special information for Penelope. They spend a long time talking. Actually, he goes and gets a bath, and then she comes back and talks some more. This takes us to our first question. Who recognizes Odysseus in the palace? Who's the lady? The old one.
Lady?
What?
Serving woman?
Serving woman.
Like the head one?
Well, that's just rude, Liam. Yes. Yeah. Yes. She's his nurse. Odysseus's old nurse, Eurycleia. She says, "Would you like to wash up a little bit? I can have some of the young serving girls wash you up." And I'd be embarrassed to have the young girls. If you've got some old trusted servant. She says, "I have just such an old woman, seasoned, wise, who carefully tended my unlucky husband, reared him, took him into her arms the day his mother bore him. Frail as the woman is, she'll wash your feet. Up with you now, my good Eurycleia. Come and wash your master's equal in years." Odysseus must have feet and hands like his by now. Hardship can age a person overnight. This translation says, Penelope starts to say, "Come on, Eurycleia, come wash your master's feet." What did she just call him? your master. Now, this is a translation. This is the only footnote that I'm going to read to you. But because we'd like to know if our translator was just playing games with us. It says, the pause indicated in the translation, allowing the reader to imagine for a second that Penelope has penetrated Odysseus's disguise, attempts to reproduce a similar effect that Homer produced for the ears of his audience, but through Greek word order rather than a pause. Penelope has a moment. She almost slips. And she tells Eurycleia, come wash your master's feet. When do you think Penelope knows? This is an unanswerable question. On the one hand, she claims not to know even when they say, Odysseus just killed everybody downstairs. And she said, that must have been a dream. He's never coming home. She says it over and over. He's never coming home. I know it. And then she goes upstairs and cries again. But she almost slips up. Is Penelope smart? Is Penelope tricky? The whole unweaving the shroud thing. The suitors say there's no equal to her in guile, just something they would say about her husband. She's very tricky. Do you think she knows Odysseus pretty well? He's been gone, but does she know he's crafty, that he's the sort that might come home in disguise and pull this sort of thing? We don't know when she knows, but she tells Odysseus, he gets his feet washed. And by the way, how does Eurycleia know that it's him?
He got a scar on his foot.
He's got a scar. Remember, this is the woman that raised him. It says, in a flash she knew the scar, that old wound made years ago by a boar's white tusk, when Odysseus went to Parnassus, out to see Autolycus and his sons. The man was his mother's noble father, one who excelled the world at thievery. That, and subtle, shifty oaths. Grandpa is also tricky. Hermes gave him the gift. Overjoyed by the thighs of lambs and kids he burned in the god's honor. Now, Autolycus once visited Ithaca's fertile land to find his daughter's son had just been born. Eurycleia set him down on the old man's knees as he finished dinner, urging him, Autolycus, you must find a name for your daughter's darling son. The baby comes as the answer to prayers. You, my daughter, and you, my son-in-law, Autolycus returned. Give the boy the name I tell you now. Just as I have come from afar creating pain for many, men and women across the good green earth, so let his name be Odysseus, the son of pain, a name he'll earn in full. Grandpa is the one who gave him that name prophetically and said, and when he has come of age, send him to visit, and he did. And I don't know how often you go boar hunting with your grandpa. You should suggest that. No. And he was wounded. And he tells her, obviously, don't tell anyone, you'll blow this all up. He goes back, and Penelope keeps talking to him, and this is what she tells him. Please read this dream for me, won't you? Listen closely. I keep 20 geese in the house. Now, it's unclear whether, first of all, in the house probably doesn't mean in the house, or on the grounds. But it's unclear whether she actually keeps geese or this is all in the dream. I keep 20 geese in the house. From the water trough, they come and peck their wheat. I love to watch them all. But down from a mountain swooped this great hook-beaked eagle. Yes, and he snapped their necks and killed them one and all, and they lay in heaps throughout the halls. while he, back to the clear blue sky, he soared at once. But I wept and wailed, only a dream, of course, and our well-groomed ladies came and clustered round me, sobbing, stricken. The eagle killed my geese. But down he swooped again, and settling onto a jutting rafter, called out in a human voice that dried my tears, "Courage, daughter of famous King Icarius! This is no dream, but a happy waking vision, real as day, that will come true for you. The geese were your suitors. I was once the eagle, but now I am your husband, back again at last, about to launch a terrible fate against them all." So he vowed, and the soothing sleep released me. I peered around and saw my geese, apparently she does really have geese, pecking in the house, pecking at their wheat, in the same trough where they always took their meal. The geese are the suitors, and the eagle is Odysseus. How does Penelope feel about the geese in her dream?
She likes them.
She likes them. I love to watch them all. And she cries when they're all dead. How do you read this dream? She says, "Read this dream for me." And Odysseus answers, the beggar. He says, "Oh, well, it's plain as day. Odysseus is right around the corner and he's going to come wipe out the suitors." But he doesn't completely read the dream. You read the dream for me. How does Penelope feel about the suitors?
She likes them.
What is there to like? They're eating her stuff. What do you
I was
think?
gonna say the attention.
She's got a 20-year-old son. She's not young by ancient standards. Perhaps she's not young by modern standards either. But she's very pretty. She's got a lot of stuff. She likes the attention, maybe. This is a very complicated... Penelope's not just a cookie-cutter character, you know. She's just the doting wife or whatever. She's going to miss being fawned over and admired. Does she know this is Odysseus she's talking to? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe she's saying, you know, you left me, but I still got attention, and it felt good. I was alone. I don't know. This makes me curious. There's no other reason for this dream. I love to watch them all. And I was sobbing and stricken when they were all dead. I don't know how long this has been going on, but she staved him off for 3 years with the whole shroud thing. These guys have been hanging around for a long time now, and she's used to them. Okay, so she says, we're done. We are going to have a contest, and we're going to see who the winner is, and I'm the prize tomorrow. And what God's festival will be celebrated tomorrow? This was the next question I asked you. It was the festival of who?
Was it Athena?
No?
Oh, then it was Aries.
No. And now through the streets the heralds passed, leading the beasts marked out for sacrifice on Apollo's grand festal day. What's Apollo the god of? Numerous things. He's a multitasking god. What is he the god of that has to do with this contest? Archery. He shoots the arrows. What kind of arrows does Apollo shoot on occasion? Are they good arrows? He shot arrows at the beginning of the Iliad. What did these arrows do to people?
Death arrows.
Yeah, but not like I mean, all arrows are death arrows if you shoot them in the right place. They made them sick. They brought the plague. He shoots death arrows, yes. But like I said, all arrows are death arrows if you know what you're doing. So what's the contest? What are we going to do? What do these guys have to do in order to win Penelope?
Well, just use his bow back and shoot through the axe heads.
Okay, yes. So two things, basically. Odysseus has a very nice bow. We are told the backstory given to him by one of Hercules' friends, or not. Somebody Hercules killed. Apparently not a friend of Hercules, although Hercules kills friends and wives occasionally. So this is a renowned bow. He didn't take it to the war with him. But it's been sitting in the storeroom for a while. Have any of you ever shot not a modern,
What are you talking about?
a wooden bow? Tell us how you string. Is it easy to string? Do you keep it stringed stringed? What? I've been hanging out with you guys too long. Do you keep it strung all the time? What do you know about it, Miriam? Oh, okay. Yeah, usually, if you're going to keep it for a long period of time, are not in use. It's very simple. It's this curved piece of wood, right, with a notch at the top and a notch at the bottom, and the string fits in. But you unstring one of them because you don't want to leave it. It's got tension on it. So you unstring it. So it's unstrung, but it hasn't been bent in a long time. My daughter had it was taller than her bow somebody gave her. And she had to stand up and she would prop it against her foot and pull it over her shoulder to get enough, leverage on it to bend it enough to string it. It's not easy. So they've got to string the bow. Number one. And number two, like I said, they have to shoot through 12 openings. Unclear if the openings are in the handles of the axe or behind the axe. It's not important. These axes have holes somewhere in them, and they're going to be lined up in a row, and you've got to shoot through all 12 of them. If you can string the bow and shoot through all 12, you win. On Apollo's feast day. This is going to happen the next morning, and they all go to bed. And I just want to take a look at this description of Odysseus. Are the serving girls nice to Odysseus when they're getting ready for bed? Does anybody remember? Here, poor old man, have a nice, comfortable, cushioned place to sleep. No. That Melanthius's sister, Melanthia, whatever, she's a jerk. She's very rude and insults him. But he's sleeping there, and he knows the next morning is it. He struck his chest and curbed his fighting heart. Bear up, old heart. You've borne worse, far worse. That day when the Cyclops, Man Mountain, bolted your hardy comrades down. But you held fast. Nobody but your cunning pulled you through that monstrous cave you thought would be your death. So he forced his spirit into submission. The rage in his breast reigned back, unswerving, all endurance. But he himself kept tossing, turning, intent as a cook before some white-hot blazing fire who rolls his sizzling sausage back and forth, packed with fat and blood, keen to broil it quickly, tossing, turning it, this way, that way. So he cast about. He rolls around in his bed like a what? How elegant, like a cooking sausage. This is kind of funny because does anybody remember from last week? He had a fist fight with the other beggar, and he punched him out. Does anybody remember what the prize was? The fattest, biggest sausage. So, I don't know. Picture the scene. He's stuffed down this enormous, gross sounding. It's gross sounding to me. Stuffed with fat and blood. Nice. And now he's nervous about the next day. Have you ever eaten a big meal and then gone to bed? I can just hear his stomach rumbling. And then he's compared to the sausage rolling and rolling. What? You are what you eat. All right. Everybody starts coming in for the morning. Melanthius, the goat herd, who says nicely, "Still alive? Still hounding your betters, begging round the house? Why don't you cart yourself away? Get out! We'll never part, I swear, till we taste each other's fists. Riff-raff, you and your begging make us sick." That's not, even if it's true, it's not nice to say. Eumaeus, we've already met. Third to arrive was Philoetius, that good cowherd. Under the echoing porch, he tethered all heads well, and then approached the swineherd full of questions. "Who's this stranger, Eumaeus, just come to the house? What roots does the man claim? Who are his people? Where are his bloodkin, his father's fields?" Poor beggar. But what a build! A royal king's! Ah, once the gods weave trouble into our lives, they drive us across the earth, they drown us all in pain. Even the kings of the realm. And with that thought, he walked up to Odysseus and said, "Cheers, old friend. Old father, here's to your luck, great days from this day on. I broke into a sweat, my friend, when I first saw you. See, my eyes still brim with tears, remembering him." Odysseus, he must wear such rags. I know it. Knocking about, drifting through the world, if he's still alive. My heart aches for Odysseus. Do we have another winner here or another loser? Definitely have another winner. So, when the contest begins, how are the suitors? Are they good at this? Are they good at? No, they can't even budge the bow. Oh, well, let's grease it up a little bit. Let's put it by the fire and soften it up a little. That'll be just the thing. It's just stiff because it's been sitting for so long. Not we're too weak. One of them throws an ox hoof at Odysseus. Nice touch. But none of them can bend it. While this is going on, Odysseus calls the swineherd and the cowherd out. And what does he ask them?
He asks them if they would be loyal to Odysseus if he
Yeah.
returns.
How far would you go to fight beside Odysseus? Say he dropped like that from a clear blue sky and a god brought him back. Would you fight for the suitors or your king? Okay, why do you think he takes them out there and asks that question? Does he not know the answer to that question? We've met Eumaeus. We see what the cowherd said. Oh, my heart yearns for Odysseus. What's he up to?
He's going to tell him.
He's going to tell him. He needs to get them out and depart. Okay, I'm zipping ahead. When Odysseus goes to his dad, remember at the end of the story? Does he just say, "Hey, Dad, I'm home"? say he's going to do? Or what does he do when he meets his dad? Do you remember?
It says something like Odysseus is dead or something.
He doesn't say Odysseus is dead, but he doesn't say, I'm Odysseus. He makes up another crackpot story. And he says, and I'm paraphrasing, but, and Odysseus pondered in his heart, should I out and out tell them who I am, or should I test him in every way? In his heart, this seemed best, to test the man and prod him with questions. What? This bugs me. But somebody on Tuesday came up with a plausible answer. See if you guys go in the same direction, or you can come up with a plausible answer. Why might you not just walk up to someone, especially an older person, who's suffered from your absence, and just say, hey, I'm back?
Give him a heart attack.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people don't take sudden news well. I mean, Argos, the dog, dies on the spot as soon as he knows his master is back. So I like to read the Odyssey, and then I get to book 24. Jerk. Just tell your dad it's you. But there must be a reason. So again, Eumaeus and also Philoetius here, the cowherd, they're not young. They've been around. These guys are elderly. Maybe he thinks it'd be a shock to them. I don't know. So he warms them up. What would you do? What if Odysseus came right back? Are you in? Can I rely on you? And he says, now I know that of all my men, you two alone longed for my return. From the rest, I've heard not one real prayer that I come back. And, of course, the suitors do not want him to take a turn. But the whole plan is to get that bow in his hands, right? That's all he needs. Give me a weapon. He and his son have hidden all the other weapons away in the storehouse. And he's looking at it, and the suitors mock him. Oh, he's checking it out. Oh, he's a connoisseur of bows. He's going to make himself one. So they mocked. But Odysseus, mastermind in action, once he'd handled the great bow and scanned every inch, then, like an expert singer, skilled at lyre and song, who strains a string to a new peg with ease, making the pliant sheep gut fast at either end, so, with his virtuoso ease, Odysseus strung his mighty bow. Quickly his right hand plucked the string to test its pitch, and under his touch it sang out clear and sharp as a swallow's cry. He snatched a winged arrow lying bare in the board. The rest still quivered, still bristled deep inside the quiver, soon to be tasted by all the feasters there. Setting shaft on the hand grip, drawing the notch and bowstring back, right from his stool, just as he sat, but aiming straight and true, he let fly, and never missing an axe, from the first axe handle clean on through to the last, and out the shaft with its weighted brazen head shot free. He thundered out to all the suitors, look, your crucial test is finished, now at last. But another target's left that no one's hit before. We'll see if I can hit it. And it's Antinous, right in the neck. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. They still don't understand. It says, poor blind fools, each one persuading himself the guest had killed a man by chance. They still don't get what's happening here. All right. He saves a couple. The bard. The messenger guy. But everyone else dies. Now, they clear everything away, and they tell Penelope, and the last question I asked you is, how is Penelope finally convinced of Odysseus's true identity? She says, we two have secret signs. What is it, Henley?
Tells her about the bed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because she's just not warming up to him. He said, oh, fine. You know, and she says, well, I guess we can give you a bed. We'll just drag the bed out here. We'll just pull the bed out and put it up in the hallway for you. Really? Really? Because why can't they do that?
It's made out of a tree.
It's made out of a tree that's still rooted in the ground. It's still rooted in the ground. Now, how is that a test? She said, we have secret signs. And obviously she said that on purpose. We will drag the bed out here.
If you don't know it's built in the tree, take out. Okay, that works.
How would someone know this?
If they built it.
If they built it, who else would know it? It says there's only one servant that's allowed to go in there and clean and do things. So that servant knows. How might someone else know?
They slept in the bed.
They slept in the bed. Like Clytemnestra and her husband's cousin. If Penelope hasn't been faithful to Odysseus, it's not a test anymore because news is out. Other people know. Other people have been there. No one's been there. She can still use it as a test. It's proof. It's proof. No one's been in there. All these years, no one's been in there. Only you know, Odysseus. And he does know. Did you expect the story? Does that seem like a good place to end the story to you? Let's look at the end of book 23. You know, they spend the night. He tells her all his adventures, tells her the truth this time. She talks about all their troubles. The end. And they lived happily ever after. Why can we not stop the story there?
Not a happy families.
Because there's a lot of angry people. Because there's a pile of dead bodies in the courtyard. They've piled them up. Well, they've burned them now. Not to mention suitors, but also they killed all the serving women that were hanging out with the suitors and were snarky and rude. And Melanthius, the goat herd, I'm not going to repeat, but he got a tasty little punishment too. There are a lot of angry people. So is there peace in Ithaca? No. If we've got to come all the way from the world of war, remember Achilles' two shields? Or a shield, but the two cities. The shield that Hephaestus made. It said there were two cities. A city at war and a city at peace. And it described what was in each of these cities. Achilles has been hanging out at the city at war for 10 years. Then he's been in weird places. Not city at all. Just where they don't live on bread, right? Where men not like us who live on bread. Where they hang out with the gods. It's weird. He's coming back home, but there's no peace yet. There's no closure and no peace. All right, we already talked about what he does with his dad. But book 24 opens in a very weird way. All the suitors are heading down to Hades. All the dead suitors. Whole line of them coming down. And when they come down, Achilles and Agamemnon are having a chat in the underworld. And they are chatting about how lovely Achilles' funeral was. You know, Achilles, it's great. Your mom came up and the other nymphs from the ocean. She cried. Everybody cried. We had funeral games, contests over your armor. We built you a wonderful monument. Dressed you in ambrosial, deathless robes, and the muses sang for you. It goes on, and we burned your body, and we poured out wine. I mean, it's just very detailed. And he says at the end, great glory is yours, Achilles, for all time in the eyes of all mankind. But I? What joy for me when the coil of war had wound down. For my return, Zeus hatched a pitiful death at the hands of Aegisthus and my cursed wife. And at this moment, I go, who are all those guys? Is there a war going on that we didn't know about? I recognize some of them. Who are these guys? And they come down and they told the whole story. Oh, we were hanging out at Odysseus' house. Odysseus came back. He killed us all. Happy Odysseus, Agamemnon's ghost cried out, son of old Laertes, mastermind, what a fine, faithful wife you won. What good sense resided in your Penelope. How well Icarius' daughter remembered you, Odysseus, the man she married once. The fame of her virtue will never die. Why did Achilles get such a bang-up funeral? What's so hot about Achilles? What's his claim to fame?
Greatest warrior.
He's the greatest warrior the Greeks had. Okay, this is an opinion question. It's always a little dangerous because you might not go a direction I think you're going to go. But if there hadn't been a war going on, would Achilles have been as renowned and famous? He kind of needed a war, didn't he? You can't just go rampaging through the countryside. Maybe he could be a Hercules and he could kill monsters and stuff, but generally, if you're going to have skill in war, you need a war. Do you think Achilles seems like somebody who would be easy to live with in peace? Just kind of hanging out in his house and having breakfast with him, and it doesn't sound appealing at all to me. So his glory is, I am a warrior. Now Odysseus is a good warrior, but what is Odysseus' glory? Why would we celebrate Odysseus?
He's cunning.
Because that's what he's called over and over. He's called Polytropos and Polymetus in Greek. Man of twists and turns, Polytropos, many ways, and Polymetus, super smart. His glory can shine in battle, can also shine, when there's business to be dealt with. What is Penelope's glory? Faithfulness. Not everybody shines in the same way, you know what I mean? And I think maybe that's why they're talking about Achilles' glory when these guys show up. Like, Achilles, you were awesome and we gave you this amazing funeral. And then Agamemnon pivots right there and he says, oh, Penelope, the fame of her great virtue will never die. Her fame will never die either. But she didn't fight anybody. She fought the hard fight at home, I guess, to stay true and hold these suitors off, and to remember that women didn't have a lot of power in the ancient world. And anyway, okay, they head out to see Dad, and Dad is overjoyed, Laertes. They fix a meal, but in the meantime, the Sicilian serving woman bathed her master Laertes, and Athena stood beside him, fleshing out the limbs of the old commander, made him taller to all eyes, his build more massive, stepping from his bath. So his own son gazed at him wonderstruck. Face to face, he seemed a deathless god. Who else has that done to them in this poem? Two other people have been magicked by Athena to look better. One of them is very obvious. Odysseus. And Telemachus. She did it once to Telemachus. All three generations get this special treatment. Do they kill all the fathers of the suitors that come after them? Do they kill any of the fathers of the suitors? Athena told them not to fight, but here's what it says. They all head out. Old Lord Eupeithes rose up in their midst to speak. Unforgettable sorrow wrung his heart for his son Antinous. He's the father of the ringleader. And he says, those fighters, many and brave he led away in his curved ships. He lost the ships, and he lost the men. And back he comes again to kill the best of our Cephalenian princes. Eupeithes, Antinous' dad, he's got two complaints. Complaint number one, he just killed our best princes just yesterday. What's his other complaint?
Took a bunch of other good fighters away.
Where are all the guys he took with him to the war? He came back alone? He lost everyone who's with him? And frankly, you can imagine that if everyone else is dead but you're the only one who lived, see that look right there. Did you run? Did you abandon them? Did you leave them all? Did you even try to save them? It looks fishy. He's got two, and they're legitimate complaints, especially the one that he lost everyone at the war. So here's what it says. They rush on them. Athena breathed enormous strength in the old man, Laertes, Odysseus' dad. He lifted a prayer to mighty Zeus's daughter, brandished his spear a moment, winged it fast, and hit Eupeithes. Pierced his bronze-sided helmet that failed to block the bronze point tearing through. Down Eupeithes crashed, his armor clanging against his chest. Odysseus killed Antinous, and the next day, Odysseus' dad killed Antinous' dad. Why do you think Athena puts a stop to this? Why not just let him wipe out all the dads?
It's not necessary.
It's completely unnecessary. Although they are guilty of not restraining their sons. They were told to, but not necessary to restore peace. What if they do, what happens next? So they wipe all these guys out. What's next?
There are other relatives get mad.
There's probably other relatives, and it's going to be some sort of blood feud. Or they've basically wiped out all of Ithaca. He's got no one to rule over, one way or the other. Peace. Athena says, it's done. We're done. How did the Iliad end? Does anybody remember what it ended with?
Wasn't that the burial of Hector?
Mm-hmm. And so they buried Hector, breaker of horses. The end. But what's going to happen the next day?
They're gonna go back to fighting.
The fight happens again. What happens the next day after this? Hopefully. Peace. We get used to Odysseus being home again. Eventually he has to make that trip with the oar where he travels and no one knows what an oar is. But not yet. It's really, really interesting to me that we have these two poems that are attributed to the same author, and one is The World of War, and the other is how do we restore peace? How do we bring peace back after this? All right, I'm not going to read all of this to you, but I just mentioned this. So the Iliad, would you say the Iliad has a happy ending or a sad ending? Yeah. Because, and so they buried him. Well, that's not fun. But we know that the next thing that happens is more war and more death. And we also know, and Achilles is going to die. And Priam is going to die. And a lot of people are still going to die. Would you say the Odyssey has a happy ending or a sad ending? It's a happy ending. One is a tragedy and one is a comedy, technically, even though it's not ha-ha comedy. Who's... Is there a villain in the Iliad? Who's the bad guy?
Paris.
Okay, Paris is a bad guy, for obvious reasons, because he's the instigator of the whole thing. Is there anybody else who's a bad guy?
I mean, a lot of people have their moments, but Agamemnon has some too.
Agamemnon is a bad guy for taking Briseis. Achilles is kind of a bad guy for letting so many people die. Hector, depending on who you want to talk to, if you're a Greek, Hector's a bad guy. If you're a Trojan, Hector's a good guy. He is keeping Helen. I mean, his brother is keeping Helen. See, it's difficult. I like the way you phrase it. People have their moments, but it's hard to say this person or this group of people is bad. Even if you're pro-Greek, we get a peek into the Trojans' hearts and lives, and Hector says goodbye to his wife and his son, and it's hard not to feel for that. Is there a villain or villains in the Odyssey? Suitors. And there's never a question. We don't have to say they have their moments. They have no positive moments. The only positive moment is when they're not actively insulting someone or plotting to kill someone, and that's a very low moral baseline, right? So the Iliad is very ambiguous morally. Who's right here? Who's wrong here? In the Odyssey, it's very plain. So if the Iliad is all about shame, Achilles is shamed publicly. And Menelaus has been shamed. Somebody ran off with his wife, right? Hector says, I can't go back in this city now. I'm going to have to fight Achilles or I'll be shamed in front of everyone. So if shame is the like the background music that's playing over the Iliad, what's the background music that plays over the Odyssey? What's the thing that we keep returning to or that keeps popping up? There might be more than one answer to this. Is there a theme song? If shame is the theme song to the Iliad, does the Odyssey have a theme song?
Cunning or glory?
Cunning or glory? Well, glory could be in the Iliad too, because Achilles wants to get his glory. Certainly cunning, I like that, because Penelope is cunning and smart. Odysseus uses cunning. Does anybody have another idea? That's a good one.
Like perseverance, because he never gives up.
Never giving up, perseverance. What is the code that keeps getting examined or broken or not broken over and over again? We test each place we go. Are they going to loyalty, and how do we treat guests? What do we call treating hospitality? Keeps popping over. The suitors have abused it. Eumaeus offers it. Telemachus knows how to offer it. I think all of those are good answers. Obviously, the Iliad is in battle. Odyssey's at a home. And you guys mentioned, I have themes here. Perseverance, persistence, faithfulness in the Odyssey versus honor and courage in the Iliad. they're sort of like bookends. They're companion pieces, and I think this is very interesting. Okay. We are going to start reading, as I told you, the first history book ever written. In fact, the Greek word that the author uses is historia. This historia. But it does not mean history like we think of history. Historia meant inquiry. We are looking into it. So don't put your things away yet. It's okay that you put yours away, but because you can peek over at Olivia's, but because I want to show you a couple things in there. Because I don't want you to freak out when I pick up the book, which is right here. Don't freak out. I said. All right, it's a very big book. It's a very big book. Now, here's why you're not going to be afraid. First of all, everything back here is appendices. We're not, no. Everything in the front is an introduction and whatnot, but also it's got pictures. It's got whole pages of maps. Sometimes there's maps on both pages, and there's only a little bit of words at the bottom. This is one of the reasons why this book is so fat. But I asked you to get this copy because this involves wars and people marching all over the place, and it's just so helpful to know where we are. You don't have to look up every single town that's mentioned, all right? But there will be footnotes here, and this is a good example of what you might find. Maybe this is self-explanatory to you, I don't know, but I'll show you. At the top, we have a little map with a square in it, right? This square is that. If you blew up this square close up, it would be that. Does that make sense? But then this one has a square in it, and if you blew that square up, it would be that. Right? So you close up. So you can see where it is in the world, where it is in the Mediterranean, and then close up. And so let me find an example. It says, which are hauled from a mountain by the name of Orbelos. And I look down at the footnote, and it says Mount Orbelos, map 514, inset. The close-up one. And Mount Orbelos. Fabulous. If you don't care where Mount Orbelos is, don't look at the map. But sometimes the story is going to make more sense to you if you just say, okay, I see, we went from here to here, got it. All right. There are 9 chapters, but he calls them books, just like the Iliad and the Odyssey had books. And in the margins, every paragraph is numbered. So this says 3.33. This means book 3, paragraph 33. And it has a plot summary. So if you're confused at any point, you can look there. Also, in the front, there's this lovely outline of the entire book by section. It tells you everything that happens in the whole book. Second reason, or third reason, or whatever, that you're not going to be afraid is we're not reading the whole thing. 4 years ago, I had students read the whole thing, and it was just a lot. So much so that I think that not a lot was gained from reading it. So we are going to slow it down a little bit. So in your reading guide, first of all, if you look on page 34, this is just for your own interest. I made a chart that tells you when things are happening in Herodotus and what's happening in the Bible at the same time with dates. Just just in case you're interested in, I wonder when this is happening. And then if you look in the questions, it says Herodotus book 1. So I'm asking you to read all of book 1. But if you turn the page, it says Herodotus book 2, but then it says read. And you see, I just want you to read the first 4 paragraphs, and then paragraphs 69 through 76. You're just going to spot read book 2. So don't, and this is true of the whole, and it's just that for next week. Don't just consult this before you read. all of book 2. Book 2 is awesome because it's a tour of Egypt and it's all about weird animals. And for some reason, Herodotus thinks hippopotamuses have tails as big as trees. It's just very entertaining, but it's not really important to the plot. So if you're just really into Egypt and you have a lot of extra time on your hands, go for it. But it's just a lot of volume. So, but when you look, you're like, oh my gosh, she wants me to read 100 pages. Yeah, but a bunch of them are maps or pictures or whatever. So just try not to freak out. However, you will have to put some effort into it. But I went through the whole thing myself, and I personally picked out the sections that you could follow the plot. Some of the subplots we're just going to pretend they don't exist. Herodotus is a little quirky, and I'll just leave you to figure out what that means. That's it. I would like you to write the paper. So this is kind of a heavy work week for you guys. But next week, just a sum up, all right? And in fact, while we're reading Herodotus, we're probably not going to be doing super long papers because I know that you're reading a lot, okay? Any questions or comments, concerns?